Good morning. This is a special video dedicated to my cousin Art, who happens to be celebrating a birthday today. And I'll start off with that dreaded birthday song that nobody likes to hear my voice sing, but it's your birthday, so you have no choice. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. That's the favorite birthday song that all of my nieces and nephews seem to get on their birthday. Except for recently, I haven't been doing it so much. But they like that one because it's short, because I don't have a very good voice. But I want to tell you a little bit about my cousin Art. My very first memories of Art happened when I was supposed to have been about 4 years old. And the only thing I can really remember is that he was tall and blonde and handsome and very, very quiet. I think that may have just been a 4-year-old's perception, because almost everybody older than me was tall. And but as far as quiet is concerned, maybe it was just that he didn't have much to say to a 4-year-old little girl. I think he was a teenager, maybe 13, 14 years old. And as we all know, teenagers don't usually have a lot to say to 4-year-olds. So I think that maybe he was doing his teenage things and wasn't too involved with me because he was a teenager. But that's okay, because he grew up, and at some point in time, I believe he came to stay with us, and during that time, I remember there being a lot of discussion in the family. There was quite often discussions in my family in the very early morning hours before sunrise. My father and Art's father and their brother owned a marine construction business, and they all met at my house every morning before they went to work, and there were these big discussions around the kitchen table. And I do recall remembering a discussion about what Art was going to do after graduation. Now, you have to remember that he is the oldest grandchild in the family, and there had to have been certain expectations placed upon him that may have been unrealistic or self-serving to my father and the brothers. I believe that they wanted him to join them in the family business, and it turned into a point of contention, but I don't believe Art ever did become a master of marine construction. I think that when he was young, he learned a lot about it and got a lot of knowledge, but I don't think it was his chosen profession. I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I vaguely remember that he joined the Army, and that the entire family was very happy about that, because we have a very politically strong-minded family. We're very patriotic, and maybe not political is the right word, but more patriotic, and for him to join the Army would have been a great honor to the entire family. One of the things I remember when I got to be in high school, Art and his wife at the time, Sharon, had a new baby named Mark, and he was just adorable. And they invited me to their house for a week in the summertime. And I was just overjoyed that my parents said I could go. They had a little house. It didn't seem little to me, but I was really happy because they had sidewalks. They had real live blocks, because they lived more in a city environment. I grew up in a country agricultural community, and we didn't have sidewalks on my street. So I was just so impressed with the fact that he had sidewalks in front of his house. And it doesn't take much to impress a young teenage girl. There were also other people, other kids in the neighborhood that were my age, and I enjoyed spending time with them. But one of the neatest things about having the sidewalk and having a baby was that they had a baby carriage, and I could put that baby in the baby carriage and wheel that baby all over the neighborhood. I have limits, of course. There was no way that Art and Sharon were going to let me get that baby too far away from home. But I just thought that was the greatest thing in the whole wide world, that I could push that baby around and have it in the buggy. Now you have to remember, I wasn't a stranger to babies. Being the second oldest in a family of 5 children, there were plenty of younger kids for me to play with. But it was different when you live in the house with them than it is when you get to go visit them and you get to play with them and do all those neat things. There's only one, so you don't have to share. You just focus on that one child. But I remember how adorable he was, and about how I just couldn't give him enough kisses, and I just thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and there was nothing anybody could tell me any different. I remember that Sharon was very good to me and did girly things with me, which my mom never really had time to do. And I would help her cook dinner for Art, and when he would come home from work, we would have dinner together as a family, and there would always seem to be a lot of laughter. If there was something wrong in that family, I could never tell. But Art came back from the Army. This is before, okay, I'm backing up. Okay, before he got married, before Mark. I believe he joined the Army, and then when he came home, I think he stayed with us for a few weeks. And he did a lot of sales jobs. He did, I know he sold Cutco cutlery, which is absolutely wonderful. And he did a few other sales jobs, and eventually, by the time he and Sharon got married, he was working at an auto sales dealership. And from what I understand, he did extremely well there. He was a top salesman, and I believe he really enjoyed doing that. I think he liked working with the people, with outside people, communicating and all that. He never did join the family business and get his elbows, his arms up to his elbows with muck and oil and grease. He was never really a blue-collar kind of guy. Eventually, Sharon and Art split up and went their separate ways, but Mark remained with Art. And Art went into some other business endeavors. He was always a salesman, ended up owning a business of his own and becoming an excellent businessman who was well respected in the community. And when he met Lynn, there was a change in Art. You knew that this was the woman for him. This was his soulmate. And I remember the day that he brought her to our house to meet our family. And my family can be kind of a scary group of people sometimes. We're very loud and outspoken and down to earth and all that. So to come into a house full of maybe 10 people at one time and try to meet them all, it's not an easy thing. But Lynn held her composure and dealt with every little teasing jab that was pointed at her, and was really just fit right in. I remember looking at her and thinking, this woman is perfect. Her hair is perfect. Her makeup is perfect. She had beautifully manicured fingernails, and she spoke in a soft voice. She was a very gentle person, and I just thought that she was great. And as things happened, I grew up and went my own way, and I didn't really see much of Art or talk to him much. We would run into each other on funerals and weddings and things like that, but there wasn't a lot of family interaction. It wasn't until my aunt died, my Aunt Katie died, that Art and I actually started really speaking again. And it wasn't that we weren't speaking, it's just that I lived across the country and he had his jobs, and he was so much older than me, and so it wasn't likely that we were going to run in the same circles. I didn't run in the same circles as most of my family. But we got to talking, and the reconnection with Art was really good for me. And it was nice to talk with somebody in the family who kind of shared a lot of my values and a lot of the memories. And he helped me piece together memories that would have been before my time. His father made a bunch of tapes before he died, and the idea was to turn it into a family book. And I have been trying to work on that. I don't yet have the tapes, but I've been doing little bits and pieces of stories and trying to piece them together. And on top of all the other work I've been doing with the other books I've been writing and the blog and all of that stuff, I have been getting bits and pieces together. And I hope that, Art, I do hope I can start getting really some productive time on that relatively soon. I do have another family helping me now, her name, and that's Julia. She's working a lot on the family tree section, and that's been incredibly helpful. I just want to say, Art, happy birthday. Reconnecting with you has been one of the better things in my life. I'm happy to have you in my family. I'm happy to have you as my cousin, and please have many, many, many more birthdays, because you're the oldest, and I don't want to follow your lead if you're going somewhere I don't want to go. So please stick around, take care of yourself, have an absolutely wonderful day, and many, many more. Bye.